to yet another session. We're talking about philosophy. What is the future of it? The theme of the next session is modern parallels, Confucius, Vedas and Western philosophy. And to join this panel, let me welcome very warmly Shri Sudhanshu Trivedi ji, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Sir, we welcome you on stage. We will also be joined by Professor Hansong Li. He's from the School of International Service, American University. We also have Dr. Varun Veer. He's the founder, Life Yoga. All our guests will join us momentarily on stage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause. We have Professor Hansong Li, we have Dr. Varun Veer, and we have Shri Sudhanshu Trivedi. And the panel will be moderated by Mr. Uday Pratap Singh. He is Senior Editor, Newsx.
Many thanks, Megha. It's time to, of course, turn our focus to a session where we're going to delve on philosophy, history, and not just Indian one, but we're going to try and cover the entire globe because it is a cross-national panel that you can see today that we have with us. So it's fantastic to have all of you firstly in our midst. And Sudhanshu Trivedi ji, let me begin with you first. Now, Bharat has always been a civilizational shift in terms of India's progress, our perception abroad, and development within as well. But how much are the ancient Vedic philosophies continuing to guide the policy and vision for India's direction ahead?
Actually, India is not just the only ancient civilization. There are several ancient civilizations of the world. But we are the only living ancient civilization of the ancient world. Because all other civilization, whether you start from eastern part, the Chinese civilization, to the Mesopotamian, to Babylonian, to Greece, to Roman Empire, to Inca, Maya, Aztec in the American continent, most of them has finished and they are just in the history textbooks. They are not living as it is. In India, if you will see, like at the time of Vedic age, if the fire was built up and on that taking 7 rounds of fire, a couple used to get married. So is the same thing is happening with the same mantras. That is shows the living civilization. Now, you have said that how it is influencing our modern day approach. In this Bharat Mandapam itself, you have seen that the G20 summit has happened. And Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has given one word, one earth, one family. That is being categorically derived from the Vedic concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Because it is a thought process which says that the world is entire family. Rather than it's more much, they say that the nature is also one family, the universe is also one family. Here in your topic, if I say, the parallel between the Western philosophy and the Eastern. So there is a very significant parallel between the Vedic philosophy and the Confucius philosophy and the Tao, Shinto, and Buddhist is just, you can say Hindu and Buddhist philosophy is just brothers. But there is a significant difference with the Western philosophy because the difference is in the definition itself. The definition of Western philosophy is a philosophy. It comes from two words, philo and sophia. Phil means who the lover. Sophia means books. So if you get indulged in the books, so it is believed that you will attain the knowledge. On the contrary, in Vedic concept, the definition of philosophy is darshan shastra. It's a Sanskrit word. It means just to visualize, just to see. It means in Vedic concept, book doesn't take you to the absolute knowledge. Books just take you at the doorstep. Then the knowledge you have to visualize. You are not creating anything. You are just visualizing that. That's why the Vedic seers are called the seers. They are doesn't call the philosophers. They are called the seers. And the second difference is, it is the only concept which accepts that everything is available everywhere. The Maya says, the definition of Maya is a Sanskrit word which names of Ma means no, Iya means this. Neither this, that. There are several parallel aspects are available. And lastly, Vedic philosophy also, I think it's a very rare philosophy in which the abstract science is very much there. All of you might have heard the word Vedic mathematics. Mathematics as a part of religious texts, I think you will find nowhere in the world. Ayurveda, that is a categorized medical science even accepted by WHO, and by name itself is a part of Vedas. So medical science as a part of religious texts, mathematics as a part of religious texts, and several scientists have quoted themselves, like Erwin Schrödinger, who is considered one of the fathers of quantum physics, having a Nobel Prize in physics, and who has found the electron equation. In his book, 1964 book, My View of the World, there is a complete chapter, the Vedantic version. So I think there are three things which makes this distinctly different from the Western philosophy, but close to the Eastern philosophies.
And before I go to the rest of my panelists, a quick question personally for you as well. Now you're dealing with realpolitik on a daily basis because you are, of course, a sitting member of parliament. How do you imbibe ancient sort of civilizational principles, values, teachings into your daily life and daily decision making as well?
Actually, if you look, the fundamental concept of Vedic philosophy is there is no compartment which is distinctly different. Everything is interconnected and interwoven. From a person, there is a very strong institution interconnected, that is a nucleus family, husband, wife and children. Then another strong institution that you call family, your relatives, the blood relatives. Then another strong institution which you call caste. Then comes the class. So a concentric system goes on which you feel every time in your life, even in politics. Somebody will think that this is a little bit different or maybe some controversial angle. The concept of one man, one vote arrives from the Western society, where the configuration of the society is individual, then direct society, no institution in between. So anybody wants to ask anything to society, he has to ask personally. But in the Indian and most of the Eastern societies, it is individual, then the family, then the extended family, then the class, and then caste. And in politics you have seen, all those intermittent institutions have automatically started coming up. Now first, the beta-beti vad, means your sons and daughters. Then here comes bhai bhatija vad, your, you can say, nephews and niece. Then comes the casteism, then comes the class, then comes the society. So those things are also very much present and dominating and deciding the course of politics in today's society.
Absolutely. Professor Li, let me get you in here next for a perspective, of course, from abroad as well. In the West, there is this concept of rights. That is, you know, at the fulcrum of everyone, of individuals. In the East, there is a concept of dharma or duty, which forms the fulcrum of decision making and people's identities. Can the two be balanced, or is it, you know, practical to say that in a modern state the two will always be at conflict with each other?
Thank you so much for this great question, and it reminds me of how we ended the previous panel with Aditi Devopava. The idea of the Aditi Dharma is one of the many dharma that we have. The idea that we have positive regimes of rights, and these rights come out of nowhere, and somehow by adhering to them, we can build a functional, flourishing society. I would say that is a kind of narrow reading of the West that the East could help complement, because in the Dharmic view, it is more of a relational justice, right? There is the sense of the entitlement. I mean, we do have ideas of, you know, adhikara, and we have, you know, Chinese concepts of earning the entitlement to something by virtue, right? But on the other hand, there's the expectation, right? The expectation of hospitality, but of course we have to be good guests as well. So it is highly relational, and I would say that in the Western tradition, the idea of law, I mean, now that it is very positive is out of nowhere, but I mean, originally, the idea of nomos physeos, the idea of natural law, it was very relational. It was about balancing the logos, the reasoning of the philosophia, with the thumos, the urge and the longings, as well as the eros, the love. And the same, we have the trivargaha and the trigunaha, we have dharmaha, but also we have kamaha, we also have arthaha, we also want to succeed, and we also want to love. And in the Chinese tradition, you have the idea of righteousness, yi, and that is very much the idea of entitlement and of duty, but you also have love, I, and you also have li, the idea of benefit. You also need to benefit society and be benefited in turn. So I would say that we need to harmonize these different strains of thinking about what is the good life, and the East has a lot to offer. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Veer, you know, the West has mindfulness, but India has yoga. The modern form of yoga, the true form of yoga, and the sadhana that one gets from it. How much or how much more do we need to do to popularize it and to take it to the world? Are we doing enough? What more do we need to do? And what do you feel about what people can learn from it?
Actually, there is a very big differences between the West mindfulness and Eastern yoga philosophy and theory. If you see the West, they believe in body, they believe in breath, they believe in mind, but they don't believe beyond the mind. Eastern philosophy, we believe in body, we believe in breath, we believe in mind, we believe in wisdom body, then we believe in blessed body, Panch Kosha. Body, breath, mind, wisdom body, and your soul. Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, and Anandamaya Kosh. We focus on entire personality. The West don't go beyond the mind, and if I'm not wrong, before 9th century, West did not believe a soul in woman body. So they think soul is only in the man body, not in the woman body. So if you see the philosophy of yogic philosophy, yes, we touch from A to Z. We focus in entire personality, and which is the main purpose and main aim of the humanity, the blessed body, Atma Sakshatkar. Yes, we are not doing sufficient work to show and spread the scientific spirituality inside the India and outside of the India. Yes, we need a lots of work on that, especially if we can add this scientific spirituality into the school syllabus. So it will be more easy to spread this spiritual right and positive knowledge across the India or across the globe also. So yes, especially in the education system, we have to add this scientific, spiritual, yogic knowledge.
Sudhanshu ji, we are seeing a very fractured West currently. What philosophical export or what philosophical teachings can the East offer the West at this particular juncture, as we are talking about next in philosophy, to possibly heal their wounds and soothe their fracture a bit?
Actually, the basic fundamental of the logic of the West and the East is different. But you look what the science says. West says whatever you acquire is your identity. East says whatever you give is your identity. Now if you ask if this is looking red, why it is looking red? Because this is reflecting the red wavelength and absorbing the rest. So whatever it has reflected is the identity, not it has achieved is the identity. Second thing, Western philosophy says whatever is visible is the reality. Eastern philosophy says whatever is a visible is a mystic thing, illusion, maybe illusion. Like it is red, what the science says. It's having all the vibration, all the wavelengths except red, because red has been reflected. So, if you are saying it is red, it means that the fact of the matter is red wavelength is not inside. So, whatever is visual may be an illusion. So, that's why, and on the social angle, West says the philosophy like, if you have all money, then you can be satisfied, like what Karl Marx has given. Then Sigmund Freud comes, who said, no, 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 no. Physical pleasure is a more significant. If you have physical pleasure, you will be having happiness. Then another French philosopher comes who said, no, name and fame is most important. If you are famous, then you are most happy. But if you come to Kumbh Mela, where you see the Naga sadhus, who are having nothing, even not clothes on their body, then they get perplexed. Why they are so much happy, despite having no money, no physical pleasure, and no name and fame. So I can say in one couplet in Hindi that symbolizes the difference of the Western philosophy with Indian philosophy, कि वो सुख खोजें भौतिकता में, मदिरा में मांस की बोटी में. वो सुख खोजें भौतिकता में, मदिरा में मांस की बोटी में, ये भस्म रमाए अपने तन पर खुश हैं सिर्फ लंगोटी में. Means on one end, they try to search for happiness, for wine, dine and physical pleasure. On the other, they attain the blissful happiness by sacrificing everything. So I think even the science is giving the same thing, and the society is also signifying the same thing. And one more thing, 50 lakh foreigners have come in Kumbh Mela. They got motivated, but nobody asked them to get converted. That is also a fundamental thing, that Indian philosophy doesn't have the concept of conversion. In Hinduism, there is no concept of conversion. So that's why India was one of the only major country of the world which never went for invasion.
Yes. For our foreign guests here, if you ever want to take a lesson or two in Indian prose and Indian couplets and poetry, you know who to come to for the best teachings, Mr. Sudhanshu Trivedi ji himself, who's known for his oratory in Parliament and outside as well. But Professor Li, you know, now taking a perspective on Confucius as well, bringing him into the conversation. Confucius and Vedas both emphasize social harmony. But in the world that we live in, it's a hyper world, digital world, changing world, is harmony now an obsolete concept?
I think quite the contrary is more relevant than ever, and there are two ways that I think Vedic and Chinese philosophic ideas of harmony could be relevant. And the first is this idea that we're living in a fragmenting and fracturing world order, and in which we cannot talk beyond cultural and territorial borders. And if you look at the epistemic humility, right, of the Eastern traditions in the Ramayana, and this is a shout out to our friends from Sri Lanka, the king of Lanka, Ravana, and had this debate with Vibhishana, the virtuous remonstrator, and over what to do with Hanuman, another deity in the Hindu tradition. And eventually, Vibhishana was able to convince Ravana that, I mean, this is the idea of the Duta Nan Hananti, the ambassador is not to be harmed, and through his intellect, buddhi, Ravana was able to understand that Lokavrata, the idea of a world law, is very important to mind, and the same idea of the great order of things in the Chinese tradition. Confucius was humbly accepting defeat when he was debating with children, and he's able to say, well, I'm going to listen to my natural reason and say that there is something that I can learn from everyone. So that is one kind of harmony. The other kind of harmony is the harmony between human beings and nature, and that's something that the Vedic tradition has a lot to teach us. And I often tell my Western European American readers of Kautilya, of Chanaka, who think of Kautilya as simply a Machiavellian teacher of tricks. I tell them, not only does Chanaka have a very robust sense of justice, is very dharmic as well, but also he's an ecological thinker. He has this idea of the sarvatiti mridam, the idea that we want to create a world in which animals also feel welcomed as guests. That is an ecological vision, and I think you also find that in Chinese Confucianism as well. So how do you harmonize human relations with nature? How do you harmonize between the relations between states and peoples and polities and cultures? Those are things we can learn from the Indian tradition, the Chinese tradition.
You know, Dr. Veer, there are a lot of youth here today, a lot of youngsters in the audience as well. This is part of what is called Gen Z these days. In Gen Z, there are new terms, of course, coined every day, but there's the hustle culture. Everyone wants to hustle. They say there's an age to hustle, but this also leads to burnout then. Now, if we talk about Vedic Vairagya, the concepts of detachment that can be drawn from them, how can those teachings help this generation of today better their life and not burn out, hopefully?
So it's not a theory, it should be in practical way. So if you give lesson to anyone else, it's just a theory. So again, see if आहार निद्रा भय मैथुनिश्च नर निर्णम धर्मो ही तेषः मधिको विशेष धर्मेण न पशु समान. What's the differences between the human and the animal? I have an appetite. I feel hungry. The animal also feel hungry. Ahar nidra. I sleep. Animal also sleep. Bhay. मुझे भी डर लगता है. I feel fear. Animal also has a fear. मैथुनिश्च. मुझ में भी बच्चे पैदा करने की क्षमता है मनुष्य में. जानवर भी बच्चे पैदा करता है. Animal also can have a cultivation power, birth power. But what's the differences between the animal and human? धर्मो ही तेषा मधिको विशेष धर्मेण न पशु भी समान. The buddhi, the wisdom, that should be a wise wisdom, not a religious wisdom. It should be a spiritual wisdom. Not dharmic buddhi, but dharma buddhi. Not a religious, but it should be spiritual buddhi. So that can define, and that education we need in the syllabus. When we are going to give this practical education, then we can get. But yes, we're also following the Western philosophy. If you see our education system, it's not an Indian education system. It's not a Bharatiya Guru Shishya Parampara. There's a syllabus. पहली से 12वीं तक or education, whatever, from first to graduation. So there is no Indian education system. 100% this is the Western education system. And this Western education system can't bring the peace and balance in the mind. If we want to give the peace and balance in the mind and bring the more scientific spirituality, we have to add the Vedic scientific philosophy in the practical way. It can be possible, yes, meditation, the chanting, the breath work. If you do pranayam, 100%, you just do pranayam in 5 minutes, 100% you can release stress, anxiety, depression. One thing, slow down your body.
Yes.
Slow down your breath. Slow down your mind. Slow down your thought process. Slow down your life. Zindagi kahan bhagi ja rahi, we don't know. It's so fast. And we don't know where we are going. So just relax, slow down. धर्म का पहला लक्षण है धृति. धृति क्षमादमोस्त्यम. धृति धैर्य, patience.
No, Dr. Veer, hearing you just now, one is already feeling a bit relaxed. So we possibly need to hear you more. But Sudhanshu ji, we're out of time. So last word to you. Before we end with a couplet, I will request you on our NXT stage, dedicated to NXT, from you. But philosophy, values, principles, 30 seconds, last question. We see in politics today, everything is transactional. There is no ideology, it seems, left in you. Abhi bhi philosophy, principles, values, does this matter anymore or not?
Definitely, if there is no principle, I think the existential crisis for any system is there. So if anything has no principle at all, it's bound to be destroyed. But I would like to conclude with a fundamental difference in the Western thought process and in Indian thought process. Every civilization and philosophy was in search of God or the divine element. But their divine element got stopped at a distance, either in a book or in a messenger or in a place of worship. But in the Vedantic concept, it doesn't stop at far end. It comes close, close, close inside you. The God seems to be inside you, and not only that, it's become non-dual. When you say Aham Brahmasmi, I myself is the manifestation of divinity, then you becomes non-dual with the supreme consciousness, which Swami Ram Tirth had said, "Oh, brimful is my cup of joy, having fulfilled all desires, what shall I do and where to move? I fill all the space, no room to move." And lastly, I would like to end with a couplet with our former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji in his very famous poem, Hindu Tanman, Hindu Jeevan, Rag Rag Hindu Mera Parichay. The one stanza is dedicated to Vedic concept. He says, "मैं अखिल विश्व का गुरु महान, देता विद्या का अमरदान, मैंने दिखलाया मुक्ति मार्ग, मैंने सिखलाया ब्रह्म ज्ञान, मेरे वेदों का ज्ञान अमर, मेरे वेदों की ज्योति प्रखर, मानव के मन का अंधकार क्या कभी सामने सका ठहर, मेरे स्वरनभ में गहर गहर, सागर के जल में छहर छहर, इस कोने से उस कोने तक कर सकते जगती सौरभ में, हिंदू तनमन हिंदू जीवन रग रग हिंदू मेरा परिचय." I would like to translate it, summarize it, that I was, means Vedic wisdom was a guiding principle for the entire society. And whenever the crisis of darkness or ignorance came, the light of Vedas came to guide the universe, and it is having the capability to blissfully motivate and guide the world from this end to that end. And lastly, on Chinese, I would like to say one a very famous Chinese thinker, Hu Shi. You might have known the name. He was a vice chancellor of Peking University and also the permanent ambassador, I think, in UN. He was in 1940s, 50s. He has used a very famous phrase, which in today's context become very significant. He says, "India has culturally dominated and controlled China for more than 2,000 years without sending a single soldier across the border."
Interesting. Okay. Well, I will not get you to respond to that because otherwise this conversation will keep going on. But thank you all very much for joining us. And thank you for, I think, hopefully guiding our youth as well in a positive, very
China is also doing good thing. Departing away from Mao's cultural revolution, now they are establishing the Confucius centers. So ultimately the culture becomes the guiding principle.
I'm sure you can vouch for that, isn't it, Professor Lee? Thank you very much for joining us. And I think the youth can learn a lot from this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shri Sudhanshu Trivedi ji, Professor Hansong Li,